Yes, obsession with alpha status, in inverted commas, makes modern women cringe. Of course it does, because why wouldn't it? It is fundamentally cringe, okay? I mean, there's so many things wrong with this. I mean, why would you call yourself that, okay? Anybody who has to call themselves that is quite clearly not the thing, all right? Because if you were, I don't even like to use the word, it's ridiculous, but if you were actually alpha, then by definition, you would not be on the internet talking about it, okay? You probably wouldn't be on the internet at all. You probably wouldn't be on social media, because who the hell uses social media? I mean, the only reason I use social media is because I'm doing this. In my private life, I very rarely use social media. I hardly use it at all. I've got an account on one app, and that's about it. And I don't really update it. I look at it sometimes, that's about it, okay? I don't use any other social media platforms. The only reason that I engage with social media is because of this, okay? You might argue it's the same for some of other influencers who do call themselves alpha, but really, I mean, there would be people who would look at this job that I'm doing and they would say, well, why are you doing that? That's not a proper manly job, right? Whether they would be right or not, I wouldn't care to comment, but the point is that social media, it's a little bit... You can't imagine James Bond being sitting on X for 5 hours, can you? Getting into arguments with anons about politics or about showbiz gossip or podcasters. I mean, it's not really apex male behavior, is it? So, it's not surprising then that women, and remember, it's fine as guys to talk about this stuff and to talk about this stuff amongst ourselves and sort of debate it and have a laugh about it and everything else. But then we've got this audience of women, right, over here, who are looking at us and just think it's pathetic. And remember, women really are the true judges of this stuff anyway, because we know that women would like to be with the highest level guy in the pack, right? They are very sensitive to social hierarchy. They are very sensitive to status within a given social group, okay? So by definition, the people who are best able to determine this are not actually men, but women, all right? If you really want to know who is an alpha, you've got to ask a woman, because she's the one whose biology is most finely attuned to making that determination, okay? A bunch of dudes sitting around talking about it doesn't cut it, okay? Because we can size somebody up physically, okay? That much can be said, because naturally one has to protect oneself, right? So we can size up other dudes and go, okay, this guy's a tough guy, this guy isn't, whatever. We can do that. But there's so much more, I would posit, to this idea of alphaness than simply somebody's physique, simply somebody's muscularity. And women are very, very good at seeing through that, okay? Because you can get a guy who is built like a brick outhouse. We have a slightly different term in England, but I'll use that as built like, you know, really, really built, 6'5", whatever. And guys can look at him and go, that guy's an alpha because of his physique, because of the way that he's built. But that guy could be as soft as putty in her hands, okay? Which, in the evo biological aspect of things at least, is not really alpha, okay? And I've seen this so many times throughout my life, both in terms of working with clients and coaching, but just in my personal life with dudes that I've met, people I'm friends with, whatever. I mean, there's not a correlation necessarily between somebody's physical prowess and how they handle themselves in the emotional terrain, okay? And the latter is extremely important, okay? The latter is extremely important. It might even trump the physical, because certainly in terms of dating, because we're not talking about fighting, we're talking about dating, okay? And that is predicated on emotion. It's not predicated on having massive pecs or being able to bench the size of a small car. It's just not, okay? That stuff is great in its own right, but it doesn't really impinge on this concept that we are, for some reason, discussing, because obviously a lot of people vaguely related to what I'm talking about talk about this stuff. And women just find it cringe. Women find it cringe because they know the truth. And I think this is the real thing. You know, you get girls looking at this stuff and they're like, what are these dudes talking about? You know, they are the ones who say what the hierarchy is, not guys. And then this makes it even worse. If you are then a guy who is saying, well, I'm at this position in the hierarchy versus this position in the hierarchy, it's not for you to make that determination. And I think this is the key thing about this, really. I think this is the thing that I find most cringe about it, because you are, by definition, it just doesn't work. It doesn't make logical sense, right? Because what you are saying is, this is what everybody else thinks about me. And you can't say that because you're not those other people. Because if this idea of like alpha, beta, omega, whatever else, it only works if there's other people around you. And it's for the other people to make that determination. It's like saying, I suppose you could say this, it's like saying I'm a great artist. Well, fine, it's nice that you think that, but in the end, it's not up to you. All right, in the end, it's up to the culture. It's up to the people who are looking at your work. It's up to the people to decide, right? Vox populi. It's up to the people to decide whether you are, in the end, worthy of that connotation or not. Maybe you're not. Just because you think so, it doesn't matter. And it's sort of the same thing in this film, because if you're standing there going, I am an alpha, but all the women in the room disagree, well, it doesn't matter what you think. It's irrelevant. It's nonsense, okay? So, and also as well, I think it's because the whole discourse around this stuff has become a bit of a meme now. And that's why my channel is very different. That's why I'm not a red pill channel. That's why I don't talk about a lot of this stuff, because it's all a little bit 2012 coded, okay? It's all a little bit old hat. It's all fallen into cliche and caricature. It's all a little bit of a joke, all right, to talk about masculinity in those terms. Now, I'm not proposing that we therefore go on and talk about masculinity in some other crazy woke way. That's not what I'm saying. But it has just become a little bit lame, all right, to talk about it like that. It's become a comic book, right? And it doesn't really get anybody anywhere either, because whatever you are, however you designate yourself, you've still got to move through the world and get the best results for you that you can anyway. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, I wish I was an alpha, but actually I think I'm a beta. Well, okay, fine. That's your starting point. Okay, so what characteristics do you have that you believe makes that true? Well, then you have to look at the characteristics and you have to think, okay, so how can I stop behaving like this? How can I present differently? How can I show up differently to this so that the more objectionable aspects of those characteristics don't come back to bite you, okay? You have to figure that out, but it's within your gift to do that, okay? It's within your purview to make those changes. All right, you can do it, because the great thing about behavior is we can change it. There are things that are more difficult to change. Looks, unless you want to be clavicular, hitting yourself in the face with a hammer and taking meth, then there are aspects of your looks that are quite difficult to change, okay, without surgery or without putting needles in your face or things like that. Not that I have any issue with those treatments, but whatever. So looks can be difficult to change. There are things that you can tweak and amend. You can definitely improve your grooming, you can improve your fashion, blah, blah, blah. That's for another episode. But the point is, behavior can be changed. Not necessarily easily, but it's better than hitting yourself in the face with a hammer. All right? So anyway, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this one, whether you're an alpha, a beta, an omega, whatever you are, and put it in the comments below. Give me a like and do subscribe to the channels. Our course, Approach Accelerator Academy, is open now for new students. So if you want to learn all about day game and how to actually solve some of these problems for yourself that we always talk about in these videos, then go to the link below or drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com. And we have an event, a boot camp coming up in Rio de Janeiro, 13th to the 21st of February. If you're interested in coming to that, drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.